If you're using your tablet, I recommend to have the right click set as the stylus's side button with the tool tip. If you look at the the stylus control, oopsie. If I go into the Wacom tablet properties, the stylus, if you set this button to right click and then go into options and specify that the side switch mode is click and tap, then what you can do with the Wacom stylus is hold the side button and then draw with the tip to erase, and then without the side button held you can draw with the tip with the primary color. So that's going to be the right click left click workflow using the Wacom stylus. So back in repeat display, I'm going to create a new layer, and on this I'm going to rename these layers. If you double click on a layer, you can go into the properties. I'm going to rename this background layer ribbons, and I'm going to rename this layer 2 that I just created, and I'll call it ring. And I'm going to switch to my shape tool, and I'm going to create a circle. If you hold the shift key, you can constrain the circle to a fixed aspect ratio. And I'm going to create a circle about that big. Using the move tool, since it's on a separate layer, I can position it how I wish. And then I'm going to create a new layer, and then switching back to the circle tool, hold shift, create another ring. The shape tools render a little bit slow right now. There's a lot of optimization that's going to have to happen with them before they get a lot more friendly, but at this point, kind of just grin and bear it. That looks good for now. I'm going to use the move tool, get these to where they are just about centered up, and then I'm going to take these two layers, merge them down, and then move the two together to create the ring the way I would like to see it. Maybe right there is good. Switching to single mode, let's do some more cleanup, and I'm going to switch back to my brush, and I'm going to make it such that we're going over right here, so we'll go under here. And I'm just erasing part of the layer. And then the ribbon goes over, so we'll go under this way. And do be aware, we are working in layers now, so we have to switch layers to manipulate the ribbon, just like Photoshop. Each design element is on its own layer, and that allows us to preserve design elements when we build designs from complex shapes. You can always get rid of these palettes if they get in your way. We can bring them back later. And now what I'm going to do is I have these two layers. Got the ring layer and the ribbons layer. And if you turn off the ribbon, you'll see the ring has gaps in it, which is going to make it difficult to flood fill with the flood tool, because if I try to flood this area, you see it floods outside of the document, outside of the bounds because of those gaps. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw back in those portions to create the rings. The way I'm going to do this is I'm going to use the clone stamp and clone, turn up my size a little bit, and I'm going to clone from one layer to another, essentially. The clone stamp has essentially a a target and then a destination. Oh, the clone stamp's also kind of a hairy mess in repeat mode. Oh, that's on the wrong layer. So the way the clone stamp works is if you hold Control, you place a target, a source point, and then you paint with a destination. You paint that target to a destination. So essentially we can use it to create some kind of offset. Now, the other thing that the clone stamp can do is it can pick up a source from one layer and paint it to the destination on a different layer. So I'm going to switch to the ring layer here. I'm going to pick up a source point anywhere. And when I switch to the ribbon layer, I want to make the destination point be exactly the same. So I'm going to line them back up and click once to pick up that offset. So what this allows me to do is I'm on the ribbon layer, but I'm cloning from the ring layer. So if I paint here like this, and I turn off the ring layer, what I've actually done is I've cloned it from the ribbon layer to the ring layer. So to help us see this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the ring layer, which is the source, I'm going to turn down the transparency, or the opacity, about half. And so now I can see the area underneath the ring layer to see what I'm working on. Now, realistically, in the future, the real workflow here is going to be that we're going to pick up a selection from one layer and drop it on another layer. But right now, you can't lift a selection from one layer and drop it onto another layer because the effect of switching layers essentially changes tools. So now, turn the ring layer back up, and let's do it the other way around. I'm going to switch to the ribbon layer because I want to clone the ribbon onto the ring. And using the clone stamp, I'm going to pick a point on the ribbon layer. Oops, hold Control, pick a point on the ribbon layer, switch to the ring layer, and you want to line those up exactly and pick up that point. So we'll go back into the layer properties, turn down the opacity on the ribbon layer, and make sure your destination layer is active, and we're going to paint from one layer to another. So